I'm not touching the throttle. So I am a little confused. I am stumped. I've never seen a problem like this before. It won't stay running. Fuck.
This is not a test.
Oh man. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. So I want to talk about my experience driving the blue car. So I am in the convertible today. I just drove it all the way to the shop because we got to make a few adjustments today, fix a couple things, and we got a lot of things to fix on this thing. I actually made a list that we'll go through later, but yeah, we're gonna tackle a couple of things off the list. But at the end of the last video, we had a misfire on cylinder 5, and then we pulled the plug and saw it was super rusty. It's rusty because I forgot to put the water drain back in on the engine bay, and also, you know, engine covers and all that stuff wasn't on there. So we're gonna put that back in there. It's actually in the trunk now. I brought it with me. I did end up changing the spark plug for 5, and it was no more misfire. So check engine light. Remember that kept coming on. I did actually finally get to my scanner, and it showed one check engine light was for misfire cylinder 5, and it also said cam sensor. So I changed the cam sensor with the OEM one I had laying in the garage. That seemed to went away. I've been driving the car for about a month now. It's been fine for like the past 2 weeks. As far as the transmission light that keeps coming on and off, it's still coming on and off. I haven't quite figured that out. I looked at forums and stuff, and there's like 40 different things that cause a transmission light to come on. So I don't know what it is yet. Right now, just drove to the shop, and check engine light just came on, as well as the transmission lights again, of course, but there's no more misfire. So it's really smooth. And yeah, so I just ran codes again, and now it's saying for powertrain and throttle position sensor now. And secondary air injection system, that code was always there, so that probably hasn't worked since the beginning of time. So, but that's a new one, and I'm starting to wonder, I don't think that is actually an issue. Now, the cam sensor was an issue because the cam sensor, when I was driving it, I noticed my fuel was going down kind of fast. When you do have a cam sensor go bad, I had one go bad in Ebony a long time ago, it does dump fuel. It was making it run super rich, and I actually looked at the average gas mileage, and I was getting like 14 miles a gallon, but you should not be getting 14 miles a gallon in this car. So after changing that, I am up to 18, and this is mostly city driving. I could probably get like 20 to 21 if I actually drive on the highway, but still, I'd expect a little bit better. But even still, as far as throttle position sensor, I don't think that's an issue. What I'm thinking is, and it may sound crazy, but hear me out, I wonder if this battery is just not good. So this battery is not new. I've replaced it with Ebony's battery. Ebony's battery, I often wonder, is something wrong with Ebony's battery, because Ebony also has weird little electrical gremlins. I don't have check engine lights for cam sensor and stuff like that, but in Ebony, the driver's side headlight doesn't work sometimes, most of the time. And if you remember, it actually did the same thing when I first started this car up. And sometimes in Ebony, the cluster would just randomly die and come back on. It's like weird little electrical problems. If it's the same battery I pulled from Ebony that has electrical problems, maybe this battery just has weird electrical problems. So I might have to just buy a brand new battery to rule that out completely. So Stefan's here working on his personal project here. He's got a GS. I think he's pulling this engine out for a NA VVTi 1J, and I think he's gonna put a turbo kit on it. So yeah, so a lot of work today. But yeah, it's clean. GS, raised wheels, Bribro brakes and all that. It's dope. But yeah, he's got a lot of work to do today. And no surprise, this thing also leaks power steering fluid. Ooh, that was a hard hit, Jesus. All right, about to put the car on the lift. I'm gonna have pop the engine bay and try to let it cool down, because I do need to go under here. Like I said, this is the rain tray that I actually need to put back in here. So there's a thing that holds the ECU cables up, and it goes right there. And then of course put the engine covers on there, and I won't have water dripping on there. So that'll fix that problem. And let me go ahead and plug this before it kills my battery. And throttle position sensor, I do have a spare one at home, but I didn't bring it with me because it never showed a code for that. That's new. Also, when I was driving, I noticed sometimes I would stop at a stoplight and I'd see smoke. Now, I feel like it's just dirt. It's kind of burning up, because when I got here, I actually popped the hood and I saw a little bit of smoke too. It doesn't smell like oil, doesn't smell like coolant, it's just smoke. And it was very light, and it was mostly coming from this area. So I wonder if that's just burning up and causing smokes, or maybe it was something under. I'm not sure, but we'll try to do a little bit of investigation. I want to go behind the ECU also, because I want to see if there's any rain in there that's getting my ECU wet. And yeah, for the most part, this is engine bay still dirty. I have not cleaned it yet, but yeah, this is the most annoying part about driving this car right now. Now, not new to stance cars, all right? Driven stance cars for a long time. I'm not worried about rubbing, not worried about scraping, all that stuff. But when it's scraping, when it shouldn't be scraping, it's annoying. So look at this. This thing has rubbed so much. There's tires piled up in here, scrape marks on the lip, and really it shouldn't be doing that. I get it, the fitment is mad tight, but it's also mad tight on this side, right? So we go over here, the fitment is literally the same. This side doesn't rub. You see it? Still got the name on there. This side doesn't rub. So why is that side rubbing and not this side? Well, when I push down, and hopefully you guys can see it, it moves a lot. When I push down on this side, it doesn't. The preload is not set over here. So I'm gonna put this thing in the air. I'm gonna change the preload on this, because again, I put the coils on there. Car wasn't really driving when I put the coils on there, and just kind of let it sit in the driveway. So this is my first time really experimenting driving the thing more than fucking 10 minutes at a time. So we are going to do that and hopefully get this fitment. It's already tight, but hopefully stop the rubbing. And also, I got this really cool thing. I lost it. I got these Petroworks bumper brackets, because I need bumper brackets for the front of the car, and these are like quick release brackets. So it comes with this. Please don't scratch my car. And it comes with little tabs and stuff. So I'll show you guys. We're gonna install those today. And also, it's pretty similar to something I've done in the past, but we'll talk about it when we get there. But let's put the car in the air. So again, just this preload. That's number one. All right, so this is gonna be pretty easy. Basically loosen this collar, and we got to twist this. I think twisting it down into the shock makes preload less. So we need to go the opposite direction. See if I can measure between the two sides and see if they're actually even. I don't know if I want to take that wheel off, but they look even. So I don't know. But for some reason, this side is clearly doing different things. So we're just gonna tighten this up. I don't know if I can twist it by hand. I think I have to remove this first. On my Broadways, you can twist it by hand. So these are obviously different. So I have to loosen this thing. It's scary. I hate that thing. Cool. No cuts or grooves that I messed up. So we're good. All right, now. All right, so I want it to go higher for more preload. So I'm gonna go down. So that's a lot more preload. Yeah, I'm looking now. Actually, just measured the other side with this bolt, and it's like a perfect amount from the top of the shock to the very top of the threads, and it's like almost like perfect to this. And I'm doing this here, and this was definitely, if this is where it was before, this is definitely less preload on this side. So I actually have way more now. So let me make a small adjustment. All right, that's it. If it's not going in smooth, abort, because you are messing something up. Okay, it's hard to tell on camera, I'm sure, but I managed to make the preload a little bit higher. So as you see, the clean threads, this is about how much preload I added to it, so it should be stiffer. Maybe a little bit more bouncier, but it should not be rubbing. I matched it with that side, which side does not rub. I actually added a little bit more just in case, but it should be good. But we'll find out later, because now we're gonna move into the next phase. All right, now we're gonna fix this flappy bumper. We're gonna do that by replacing these bumper brackets. So this is the factory bumper bracket, and we got these Petroworks aftermarket bumper bracket replacements with a quick release stud and button on top of it. So we're going to use that instead. It's basically go right here. And remember, I told you guys that I had something similar. You're basically going to have to drill into the factory one to make sure this button will fit right here, which will fit under the moldings. And yeah, so remember I told you guys I already kind of knew about that because I did it before on my drift car. So if you guys remember, I'll put flashbacks on the screen. When I put the bumper for my click tuning kit on the drift car, I had to figure out a way to mount it, and that was exactly what I did, except I didn't have the Petro Works thing. I just took the stud, drilled through the factory one, and just put a stud on there and a bumper and all that stuff, and it's literally the same thing. So this one's just made for you. So this only has one bumper bracket on this side, and I have no bumper bracket on this side, so I had to go get one anyways. And then after I buy the stud, then I would have spent pretty much the same thing. I think this was 60 bucks for the pair, and it comes with the buttons, and yeah, and you just got options that everything's already drilled. So you just I just kind of guesstimated what hole I'm going to use, but if you want it higher, lower, back, further, like whatever, use whatever hole you find necessary. So we're going to get this in place, drill through here, put the bumper in there, and then figure out exactly where we need to put it. Simple as that. Super easy. All right, I got both on there. They look good. They also have a rear bumper bracket too, which maybe I'll need for my drift car one day, but I don't need it for this, but for the fronts, I definitely need it. All right, now we're gonna go through this factory hole, make it bigger, big enough to fit this. Make a little bit at a time until I figure out what size I need. Oh, perfect. Perfect. And that will fit under the molding. I use the whole thing, which is 3/4. That's as big as it goes. It takes real commitment to run these things. If you have an E36 bumper, this is most likely broken. But if you do have a tab that's still here, you're gonna have to actually break it off because it's right in the middle of it. So I drilled through it just to see if I could reach, but no, it's too thick. So I have to actually break this thing off like I would on a regular car. All right, let's see how this works. It's not going to be a full quick release bumper. We'll still have to put the middle brackets in, or middle things. But as far as going to the corners, again, I guessed on the placement of it. I actually think I need to move it down. Yeah, I do. Yep, it's in the nose panel, so I can't go any higher than this. Yeah, my aim is all off. Okay, hold on. All right, the front is essentially where it's supposed to be, but if you go over here, I saw on their Instagram, they drilled right through their factory hole, but that thing is not even close. Like, you see the rod right here. Even if I did move it over a couple notches, it still wouldn't hit that. So I actually just need to make my own hole about right there, and it should match up perfectly. And it's like that on the other side too. So it's not like it's just that side. But you see right here, the rod is right here, but the bumper hole is right here. So same thing, need to guide it and make my own hole. So I'll just do it right there. Woo. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm actually not doing anything wrong. The button just doesn't work. It's in there. It pulls right out. That should not pull out that easy. So the button is bad. That sucks. All right, so my drift car is out here. And as I was saying earlier, I did the same exact thing on my drift car and I put a button right here on the side. So you push the button and it releases. And that's the factory one I did. I just put a rod through it, just drilled all the way through, put a rod on the front and back, and it's literally the same concept of what I'm doing now. So I'm going to take this button off and I'm going to see if this button works. So here's the button I have. Here's the rod, the same rod. That's not coming off. So the button is bad. So when it comes to these quick release buttons, you do have to get name brand. I learned this, I already did the practice on this car, and you do have to get the name brand one. So this is Quick Latch, Q-U-I-K latch, and this part number is QL25 for this one specifically. If you get the off-brand ones, they are a quarter of the price. They're way cheaper, but they work or they don't work, as you see. And sometimes if they do work, they don't last long. So I had to get all name brand ones all for this car, and had to pay the price, but as you see why. So you got to get the name brand quick release stuff. So yeah, also I pulled the bumper off for them, and you can see that one of these knockoff buttons already fell apart. So that kind of sucks. The inside is somewhere, but yeah, it stayed on the thing. So I guess I have to get the name brand ones. Name brand ones have not given me any problems. So I just, like I said, I'd rather try the off-brand ones on a bumper than on a hood. So now I know I do have to ball out a little bit. All right, quick latch button is on. Now let's see what it does. That's all I needed was a good button. All right, where we are on there, this one's perfect now. It's nice and natural. The other side is not. I don't know what other adjustments I need to make. I'm not trying to sit here and make it perfect for the next 20, 30 minutes, but it definitely needs to be maybe further back or something. I don't know. I can make adjustments later, but it's on here for now, and it's actually pretty tight. So now you can just have just the side buttons and rely on it if you want to, because these buttons right now are not tight. So as you see, it flaps. But it's on there just off the buttons alone. So I'm going to tighten these, because I wouldn't, personally, I wouldn't rely just on the sides, because if they do happen to break, then your bumper is going to be on the ground and under your car. So I wouldn't rely just on that, but so yeah, I would definitely make sure you have the front bolts on there, but still, that's pretty good. So all right, overall, I'm satisfied with the Petro kit. As you see, it does actually hide right under the molding and everything, so that's pretty cool. And again, if I want to make adjustments, I can try to make it perfect on the other side, but we're not doing that today. So we got to move on to the next phase. So we adjusted the preload, and we fixed our flappy bumper, and now we got to go under the engine bay and put engine bay covers on, rain covers, and I'm going to remove the ECU and see if there's any water in it, because some people say water gets in the ECU and it starts throwing weird codes. So hopefully that's not the issue, or hopefully that is the issue, and then we know why my car is just throwing random codes. So let's put this thing a little bit lower. Bone dry. Of course it is. Of course it is. So this is the factory one, and here's the transmission one. Automatics have their own ECU. It's crazy, right? Looking for any water or anything weird? Don't see anything. Let me check the car one. Also super clean. I'm blowing it like a Nintendo cartridge. All right, well, sadly, the ECU was perfectly fine, and I know it sounds funny to say sadly the ECU was fine, but again, there's a million reasons as to why the transmission light can come on, so what I've seen. So again, someone said that if the ECU is wet, it'll do that. Also, I've read things about the MAF. I did clean the MAF. I also checked the rubber boot to see if there's anything, causing vacuum leaks or anything to make the MAF mess up. I think I will try to experiment if it will do it. Try to drive home with the MAF unplugged, and if it don't get the transmission light, then I know I need a MAF, which I think I have a spare at home already. I checked the fuses, didn't see anything, and I don't know, everything seems to check out. So I will Also, check my grounds, because the car has been sitting for a long time, you know, especially in the water. So I will check the ground, see if anything's rusty or loose or anything corroded, and try to clean up grounds. And other than that, but I don't know. So it's gonna have to eventually reveal itself. Maybe the transmission will just eventually blow one day, and they're like, "Oh, that's why the transmission light was going on." Hopefully not, but you never know. Also, I forgot to tell you guys, I got seats, not back seat. I still am missing a back seat back there, but I did get passenger and driver seat. So these are actually M Sport seats, and I actually got them hooked up from a friend, Max. He actually has a steel blue E36 convertible just like this. He had gray interior. He swapped to black interior and asked if I wanted the seat. So I'm like, all right, I'll take it. So the passenger side is really clean. The driver side is not as clean, but when I tried to just swap just the passenger and keep my clean driver side, it looked funny. So I actually just ended up swapping both, even though it doesn't look as great. But I can also, you know, eventually just get them redone. But those seats are way more comfortable, way more plush than the factory sports seat. So I'm actually really happy about these, and they look really good in there. So I like the gray interior. I don't think I want to change the color of the interior. I really like gray. So I'll probably get these rewrapped eventually one day. And did you know the only difference between M Sport seats and Vader's is literally the headrest? You could pull this headrest off, put a Vader headrest on there, and then you got Vader's. So I technically have Vader's, right? So maybe if I find some clapped out Vader's that need to be redone, I could redo them all at the same time, and then boom, I got Vader's. So I wanted to do bucket seats at first, but I kind of like the OEM Plus look, so I don't know. Just removed the secondary air pump because I was trying to see if I could find what was smoking. Because I told you guys in the beginning, something was smoking in this area. There's nothing down here that would cause a smoke, nothing burnt, nothing weird. So I don't know what that smoking was, unless this thing is just smoking, but I couldn't really tell. So again, it was only in this area. It was not the headers, not coolant, not oil. Like, it didn't have a smell at all. I literally put my face in it, pause. If that's not a pause, right? I literally put my face in it, and it was smoking all in this area, and it was never a distinct spot, and then it just eventually just faded away and stopped smoking. So I don't know what would be smoking down here. Also put all the engine covers and all that stuff on there, wiped it down. Does look a whole lot better. I still need to spray it down, but I will wait till the next car wash to do that. So I'll do that when the engine and all that stuff is hot. I'll spray it down, and that way it'll kind of evaporate a whole lot faster than spraying it when it's cold. Damn it, man. We adjusted the preload and it did nothing. It still bounces. Oh no. And for comparison, this is the other side. See the difference? I'm moving the whole car on this side. I think I jinxed it because this thing is acting weird now. So I leave the shop, throttle position sensor code just goes away. Driving normal, transmission light comes on after 5 minutes, which has been happening. I go to the grocery store, I come out of the grocery store, start the car up, check engine light is on immediately for throttle position sensor, and transmission light is on immediately. I drive, 5 seconds into the drive, throttle position sensor code goes away, no more check engine light, but transmission light is still there. As I'm driving, now it's starting to be weird. It's starting to do a little bump and skip every once in a while. As I'm watching my RPM gauge, every once in a while it'll be like cruising at like 2,000, all of a sudden like wig out and go back to normal. So, and then at one point I got to a stoplight and the car cut off. And then I started up again, drove it, but it was still being weird, a little skippy here and there. But I had to make it home. But yes, it got to the point where now it's like actually shutting off. I moved it in my driveway. I actually had a different outro for this video, but I want to work on a couple of things before we end this video. I moved it in my driveway and now it sounds like this. I'm not touching the throttle. I am not touching the throttle. It's kind of just got a mind of its own right now. So throttle position sensor may actually be bad. So there's a couple things I want to change before we end this video. I'm about to do them right now real quick. First thing I want to do is, because I said in the beginning of this video, I don't know if this battery is actually good. And again, seeing the cluster kind of do this little weird wiggle thing makes me wonder if this thing is being weird. When I was at the shop, I did check all the grounds, and all the grounds were good and tight and clean and all that stuff. So I didn't see anything weird about that. So first thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery and then plug it back up. Because when Ebony starts acting weird, that's what I do to get her back on track. All right, it helps if I take the ground strap off and put it back on. Basically get a refresh connection, and then my cluster will work again. Second thing we're going to do, I do have a spare MAF. Now, the reason I want to change the MAF is because I have been reading a lot of things, a lot of transmission issues come from the MAF. But there's so many things that the MAF can cause codes for and everything, but it doesn't ever show a MAF code. So I wonder if that MAF is bad, which is throwing the throttle position sensor off and making it weird. So I'm also going to change that. And then if the throttle position sensor code is still there, after obviously I clear the codes and all that stuff, then change throttle position sensor. But right now, let's first disconnect the battery, connect it back, and then see if it even starts the same. And we should have a fresh connection. All right, fresh connected battery. Let's see if it still idles weird. Yes, it does. So nothing changed there. Okay. Oop. All right, the other MAF is in there. Now for disclaimer, I don't know if that MAF is actually good. I snagged it off another junkyard car. You just save it for situations like this. But if I start it up, it's different. We might be onto something. It changed. It changed. So before I clear the rest of these codes, I'm gonna go drive it as is. Hopefully I don't get stranded. Already the idle and everything is better. I'm gonna go get some shoes. So I'm not wearing shoes right now. And just in case I gotta walk home. So transmission light and check engine light is still on because the codes are already stored because they sat there. But I'm expecting the throttle position sensor light to go away. Also, the fixing the preload did actually do something, so also power steering fluid. But yes, changing the preload, even though it did bounce more, it's not scraping like it was before. Like I was scraping like leaving my neighborhood. It was so bad. Okay, I just drove it up the street. Everything seemed normal, didn't go very far. Pulled into the gas station. I was gonna put the code scanner on it and clear the codes, and then it just died on its own. So it's still broken. I guess throttle position sensor, maybe because it's telling me. Ah, shit. It won't stay running. Fuck. Ah, fuck. All right. Glad I put shoes on. Oh, so now it's throwing a MAF code. How ironic. Let me swap in the other MAF because I brought it. And I know this thing is supposed to have a thing on there where you push it and twist it on. It doesn't have that, so it just pulls off. It's on there tight though, so the wires are definitely connected. All right. You can drive. Okay, so I made it back home, and ironically, it's idling smooth as butter right now. So, figures. So I guess we can rule out math, because if you put a bad math in there, it will throw a bad math code. So there you go. That math is bad. Good to know. Throwing it away. So the last thing, of course, is the throttle position sensor, which seems like maybe it's a new issue, but I don't know if it's going to solve the transmission issue, because if that were the case, then that code should have came on a month ago. I've been driving this car for a month, and this is a new code. So I'm going to borrow one from Ebony, because she's not running right now, and then hopefully that fixes the code, and then maybe it'll drive normal again. I don't know. Sorry, Ebony. I'll get you a new one, but you don't need it right now. Also, the transmission fault it is throwing says can throttle valve, which can't find much information about it online, but the things I have found is throttle position sensor or MAF. Okay, new-ish. Not new at all. It's from Ebony, but I know Ebony's work, because if that didn't work, I wouldn't have bent the rod. So, let's see what changing the throttle thing does. I did not clear codes yet. I want to see if they go away on their own. So let's see. Okay, so we still got codes, still got transmission light. So I think I am going to clear the code and go for another drive and hopefully don't get stranded. All right, I just cleared faults, but I still have a transmission light. So it's still throwing codes for transmission. Again, this usually happens when trying to hit refresh and see if it'll bring up more codes. Again, this usually happens after I drive. I haven't driven yet, so usually that code's not there yet. So I'm gonna turn it off, turn it back on, see what happens. That was awkward. And transmission light is still there. So we will try to drive it. I don't even want to drive it. I'm trying to get rid of the transmission light. Please don't get stranded. So I've been driving this thing for about 10 minutes now, and it's fine. Transmission light is on. I ran codes again. It's throwing a pending code for throttle position sensor again. It's not making any sense. I know for a fact that's a good throttle position sensor. That's why I say I didn't think that was a real code anyway. Something else is going on that's triggering all this stuff. I know for a fact that's a good working throttle position sensor. It works on a running car and has never thrown that code before. The math, I could see that not working because I took it off a junkyard car, and I could see that car, you know, whatever math I pulled that off, I could see that not being good. So this, I don't know what's going on. So the car's driving fine like it was before. It is like in limp mode where it won't let you like really floor it and let you downshift manually, but it's been doing that, like I said, since the transmission light's been coming on. So I guess that's limp mode. I don't know. Transmission limp mode. I don't know, but it's weird. Like, I'm gonna try to floor it out of here and see what happens. Yeah, it's slow, but again, it works. So it is definitely like in like a limp mode. It went to 6,000 RPM, and then the next shift it shifted at 4,500. But I don't know. So I guess transmission is just dead. I'm stumped, and I guess transmission is throwing codes for throttle position sensor. I don't know. Well, I'm stumped. Anyways, I can at least drive the car again until the transmission completely goes. So at this point, that's what I expect. So I'll make sure I have somebody on call whenever I want to go for a cruise. So what the fuck, man? This video is never gonna end. So I discovered the fuel pump isn't priming. So, need a fuel pump. I could tell this fuel pump has never been changed in its life because this is actually the factory hose clamp. The ones you have to actually cut off. So, I got to cut this hose clamp off. So that's how I know it's never been changed. Now the chassis only has 105,000 miles on it. So, it's not surprising. But, it's still 20 something years old. 26, 25 years old. Where's the sock? So, interesting finds. I don't know how long the sock's been off, but if it has been off for a while, then the fuel pump has been going unfiltered for a while, which is not good. And two, if the fuel pump is dead now, about to check when I go inside, that explains a lot. Explains why the car was cutting off while I was driving, and why it felt like it was starting to break up and be weird while I was driving too. So maybe this whole time it was just a dying fuel pump. Do I have a spare? Of course I do. All right, and also I cleaned my garage. One, I had to look for parts, and then two, I had to make sure I was motivated to actually finish this thing. So now the garage is clean. I have space to actually work on this thing. So it's a mess, as you can see, but we'll get there. I do have a fuel pump because I have a bunch of spare parts over here for random E36 stuff. And no, they're not for sale because, as you see, I never know when I actually need anything. So I save a whole bunch of E36 stuff, and luckily I have a fuel pump from when I turboed that car. I took the OEM fuel pump out, and it works. This right here is one of the best purchases I made. Just a little Amazon 12-volt battery. It's not strong enough to start a car, but it's strong enough to test stuff. And this thing was like, I think it was like 20 bucks. It wasn't expensive, and as you see, it's super light. Can you use a regular car battery? Of course, but car batteries are really heavy, and who wants to lug around a car battery? So I got these little connectors here, a positive and a negative, and all we have to do is just plug that battery in, test it, and find out. So here's a fuel pump I have stashed. Let's touch positive and negative, and that works. So let's see if this makes any noise. It does. Fuck. And it's made a mess on my table. Alright, so I am a little confused. I guess we'll take the pump back out there and see if we can get this pump to work. Check fuel pump relay and stuff like that, which I probably should have checked first. It would have been easier than actually pulling the pump, but in my mind, I was full set that it was the pump. Also, cleaning up the garage, I found, I borrowed the throttle position sensor from that car, and I found a brand new one right here. And I also found another brand new one right here. So I had two throttle position sensors in my garage. I told you, I have so many parts. So again, not for sale. But let's go back out here and see what's going on now. All right, to make sure I'm not tripping, I'm gonna switch the key, the fuel pump out. It's not doing anything. All right, with the relay out, I'm gonna go ahead and jump the relay, which is gonna be pin 30 and 87, which you can see on the bottom of the relay. And with that in there, the fuel pump is obviously working. So, okay, just hook the scanner back up to see if there's any new codes, and no, just throttle position sensor, but I don't think is a real code. At this point, I'm thinking crank sensor. So I'm going to try to unplug the crank sensor, because the car will run without a crank sensor, just run like shit, but at least the fuel pump should come on, at least attempt. So if I plug crank sensor and fuel pump comes on, then we know it's crank sensor. So this is OBD2, so the crank sensor is way down there, connected pretty much close to the transmission, or there's another harness that's all the way under the intake manifold. So I think I'll try to unplug it from here, which should be the second one back, the one on the front. All right, crank sensor is unplugged. There's no fuel pump. I'm trying to crank it. I have no other choice but to swap the crank sensor. Do I have a spare crank sensor, you might ask? Of course I do. Alright guys, I am absolutely stumped. It's actually been a few days. I tried to work on it off camera to see if I could figure out what's going on, and I have nothing. I am stumped. So I changed the crank sensor. It did not make a difference. I know that crank sensor worked. I used it before in another car. And then I said, okay, it must be like ECU related. I didn't think it was EWS. I did try to jump the EWS harness also. It's the thing under the glove box. You pull the little purple or green, maybe yellow harness out, and you can jump 2 big wires in there to jump the EWS harness. I didn't think it was that anyways, because usually when EWS doesn't work, the starter won't even start. It usually doesn't even send power to the starter if the EWS is blocking it. So I didn't think that was it, but I tried that and that didn't work either. So I said, okay, last straw, if it's ECU related, let me go get a spare ECU. So in the garage, I have Ebony's turbo pump gas ECU. I'm on the 85, but I have a spare one for pump gas, and I tried to put that on there. And I know it would run super rich because it's made for pump gas for a turbo car with bigger injectors, fuel pump, etc., etc. But even then, it still didn't even turn power to the fuel pump. So I don't know what's going on. I'm stumped. Dave is actually on his way over. Dave's the one who tunes my car, so obviously he's going to have his laptop and a bunch of different scanners, but I am stumped. I've never seen a problem like this before, and I don't know what is going on. So we'll see what happens when Dave gets here. Just needed a little tune, guys. So EWS was blocking everything. You just gave me a long explanation, basically saying there's 2 stages of EWS. The stage I was doing where you jump the harness is if your ECU already has a delete on it, but your transponder kind of disappears. And I don't know, but it runs. You just deleted EWS and it runs. So, well, car's not dead.
That's what I was wondering.
What just happened?
Somebody is mad somewhere. So, going back down the chain of events.
Well, the ground cable's not even tight. When I was at the shop, I did check all the grounds, and all the grounds were good and tight and clean and all that stuff.
Psych a lot! Problem 1. So, chain of events is I flashed the ECU while you were messing around over here.
Mm-hmm.
It errored the first time. I was like, whatever. Press the button again. It worked. While the ECU is flashing, the ECU is off. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So keyed off, keyed back on. You're still messing over here.
Yeah.
Now the ECU is on, active, not flashing. It immediately fires the second air pump relay, which is the wrong relay. And then all the magic smoke comes out. And so that's what I was thinking, is something is not tight over here, because now that I'm going back, you wiggling. That wire, when I keyed on, should have lit on fire immediately when I first got here.
Yeah.
If the ECU was active and on. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there hitting flash, and basically the second I hit flash, you wiggled something. ECU turns on, it goes into flashing mode, it doesn't fire the relay, and then I key cycle. And you had reconnected whatever's loose, probably that ground, if I had to guess. That still doesn't explain the TBS code, but you got a 10 mil?
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm driving the car now, and this thing actually rips. So he threw a tune on it, because why not? And got ready all the emission stuff. Been driving pretty hard for a couple minutes. No transmission light yet, and I don't know what difference we did to make the transmission light not do anything, but we're gonna try right now. We're just gonna floor it. And this is the most it's felt like an M52. So that's like the most it's actually felt like an M52. So it works. Oh, it's going. Yeah, revs all the way out to 6,500 now. Right now it has a check engine light on because he disconnected the auto trans ECU while the car was running, so it threw a code for that. But I think this thing is, I think we're good. Finally. Finally. Watch this thing rev out. It's a stance car. It's not supposed to be like driven fast. That wasn't the plan, but this thing is fun. Oh my God, finally. This is a long video, but at the end, everything worked out. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Jesus, that was a headache. Still static. Oh, finally. It rips. No transmission lights, and I was beating the shit out of it. It's the first time it's actually felt like an M52. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Can you clear the trans code with your scanner?
I can just clear codes, yeah. But
Well, it's actually the transmission computer making the check engine light come on. There's actually no codes in the ECU. Most likely. Probably.
huh. Was it the loose ground, maybe?
Basically, when the car shut off, the ECU, the transcomputer lost connection with the ECU, and it throws a CAN connection DME.
Yeah.
Basically, it says the transcomputer is like, where's the engine computer? For a split second, and stores that forever. It takes 39 drive cycles for it to go away by itself.
Well.
And you have no power steering fluid, and
Yeah.
your left brake light's out.
That's standard E36 stuff. Yeah.
The sockets
Yeah.
probably all snapped off.
Yeah.
Zip ties,
Yeah.
bubble gum.
Or aluminum foil.
I have done that before.
Yeah.
Done that before. Mainly just do the 2 drill holes through the body of the car and zip tie through it, just to jam the bulb socket on.
Yeah. Oh, I got daily again.
Yeah.
Awesome. I got 3 more cars to fix. Haha, guys, we were good to go. So I drove it close by last couple of days, just trying to rebuild my confidence. And now I drove it all the way to the shop, which is, again, 45-minute drive, and perfect the whole way. So there's no check engine lights, no transmission lights, nothing. Smooth idle, smooth driving, even ripped it to red line a couple times, and the thing has just been great. So we are officially fixed. So I think it was a combination of things. I think that loose ground did actually do something. I think it got looser over time, from driving and vibrations and stuff. And as it got looser and looser, it started to have more and more problems. So I think that's what was going on. So glad to have that fixed. And of course, with Dave's help with the software update, I don't know why EWS just decided to crap out. That was random, but I think we're good now. So this is really good to know. And I'm really happy about that. So, yeah. So now I get to work on other stuff in the car. Definitely want to try to get this top working. So we'll try to figure that out in a future video. So anyways, that's going to do it for this one. I know it's probably long at this point, but it's well worth it because this car is perfect. It's the best it's driven since I've owned it. So I'm really happy about this car. Now I really, really love this car. So that's going to do it. Deuces.